I visited my father's grave 2 days ago, last Saturday, and it's always visiting the graveyards a liberating experience that shatters, in our minds, in our consciousness, the deception of this life, and reminds us about how unpredictable it is, how shallow its returns are. But this time, I found myself reflecting also on the very common expressions of emotion I always find in myself and in people in the graveyards. They are always loneliness, expressions of regret, expressions of comfort that you're close to your loved ones, relatively speaking. But there's never any hostility in the graveyards. You'll never see anyone scolding their relative or their parent in the grave. And why is that? It's because, at least with regards to our perceptions as human beings currently living in this world, there's been an interruption in the relationship, right? And so it's easy for you to not feel irritated, bothered, frustrated, because it's no longer a two-way conversation, a two-way relationship. And it got me thinking that we don't have that luxury in this life, that many times there is hostility and tensions between the people, family members, community members, and we have to just work through it. Especially, thinking about the month of Sha'ban right now, and that the Prophet ﷺ, it's been reported that he said, when Sha'ban is halfway through, Allah forgives the people except those that associate partners with him and those who hold grudges against one another. And so we have to work through that, especially in this season. And you don't have the luxury of killing the relationship. That's the idea. The relationship is dead in the graveyards. There's an interruption, and so there's no hard feelings. Well, here, you can't act like it's dead. You don't have that luxury, even if you would like to. Allah does not love that, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it got me thinking about the ayah about treating our parents good. The end of the ayah that most of us never get to. Even the presenters, the preachers, when we talk about it, which is, lower the wings of humility to your parents, and don't express, frustration and resentment towards them. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا, and don't flare your hands and scold them. But then what does it say in the end? So profound. It says, وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا, and say to them kind words, noble words. That's profound, because I can avoid, being arrogant with my parents, scolding my parents, flaring my hands in anger with my parents, by simply just not having to deal with them anymore. And Allah is telling you can't do that. He says, and you have to say to them, there has to be a moist, ongoing, living relationship. And say to them kind words. Say to them affectionate words. And you know that Allah Azza wa Jal always reminds the children to be good to the parents, and never reminds the parents to be good to the children, because the parents are always good to the children. It is almost non-existent, even though we may think otherwise as children. I myself, 5 years after my father's death, I'm still learning that, people just have different ways to express love. There are languages of love. Some people express it with warmth and compliments. Other people express it by being diehard, tough. I'm not saying this is void of valid criticism. There's a balance. But that was coming from the right place. And you may only realize that 5, 10, 15, 20 years after the relationships are over. And so don't think that you have the right to wait till you understand the place where people are coming from and the language they are speaking to you in, for you to do your part in connecting with them without incurring harm on yourself, but doing the bare minimums, especially if we're speaking about your immediate family members, your spouse, your children, most importantly, your parents. May Allah Azza wa Jal help us do right by our parents and not shut the doors of His mercy in our faces due to us shutting the doors of the relationship between us and those that have rights upon us. Allahumma ameen. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.